All right, folks, we are back for another deep dive this week. This weekend, I should say, because we are getting ready for a massive one.
Definitely massive.
Arsenal
versus Manchester City.
That's right, at the Emirates.
Dang it, Emirates.
Sunday, February 2nd. So, obviously, any match between these two is going to be a big one.
A clash of titans.
It really is.
Top of the table clash.
But this one feels a little bit different, just because of where both of these teams are at this point in the season.
Yeah.
Arsenal are in incredible form.
Red hot form. Yeah.
And Man City, well, they're always going to be dangerous.
Always dangerous. They're Man City.
But they have had a couple of bumps in the road recently.
Yeah.
And so we're going to break this all down for you, give you guys all the tactical insights so you can really watch this match with the deeper understanding.
We're going to go beyond just predicting the scoreline.
Yeah.
Look at the how and the why.
The how and the why behind this match, which could end up being a title decider.
It could, yeah.
So let's start with Arsenal.
All right. Let's go.
I mean, what is clicking for them this season that maybe wasn't clicking before?
Well, it's I think the biggest difference is that they're playing with so much confidence right now, and they're doing it on both ends of the pitch.
Right.
We all know about their attacking players.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Trossard, Martinelli.
Yep.
Those two especially.
They're so good.
They're overloading defenses, creating all sorts of problems. I mean, remember what they did to Tottenham a few weeks ago?
They ripped Tottenham apart.
Tottenham just couldn't cope with their movement.
Right.
The interplay, and then you have Ødegaard and Rice in midfield, who are providing so much stability. I mean, Rice especially.
He's been so good.
Phenomenal signing. He just sits in front of that back four and he breaks up everything.
Which, you know, speaking of that back four, that Gabriel-Saliba partnership,
so solid.
like a rock.
Like a rock.
I mean, how many clean sheets have they had in recent weeks?
I've lost count.
You know, I know. So that's Arsenal. I mean, they are looking incredibly strong.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the other side of this matchup.
Yeah.
Man City. They are, I mean, the defending champions.
Yep.
But like we mentioned, they've had a few stumbles this season.
Some hiccups.
Yeah, some hiccups.
Yeah.
I'm thinking specifically about that Champions League loss to PSG.
Oof. Yeah, that was a tough one.
That was a tough one to watch. Do you think that was kind of a wake-up call for them?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're not used to losing like that.
No.
Especially in the Champions League. And I think, if we're honest, it exposed some vulnerabilities defensively, especially with Dias and Ake out injured.
Yeah. They've had to shuffle things around at the back.
They have.
And they just haven't looked as solid.
Not quite.
But, okay, even with all that being said, they've still got Erling Haaland up top.
It's hard to bet against Haaland.
Yeah. And let's not forget Phil Foden.
Yeah.
And Bernardo Silva.
World-class players.
So that's still an attack that can hurt any team in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then, you know, you have the Kevin De Bruyne question mark.
Yeah.
He wasn't a guaranteed starter last week.
No.
Pep went with Marmish.
Right.
I mean, Marmish is a good player.
Oh, yeah. Talented player.
But is he Kevin De Bruyne?
Well, not quite. I mean, De Bruyne just brings something different.
Yeah.
That creativity, that ability to control the tempo of a game.
Right.
And so if he's not starting, if he's not 100%, that could have a big impact on City's build-up play.
All right. So we've talked about Arsenal. We've talked about Man City. Taking all of that into consideration, how do you see this match actually playing out?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
It is. I mean, looking at the data, it suggests Arsenal are slightly favored to win. We're talking about a 52.07% probability.
Okay, so just slightly over 50-50.
Yeah, yeah. And that makes sense, right? Given their form, the fact that they're at home. But as you know, those probabilities, they don't tell the whole story.
Of course not.
We can't forget that a draw is still possible.
Yeah.
There's a 22.2% chance of that happening.
Okay.
And even a Man City win,
Which is?
25.77% chance.
So still a decent chance.
It's definitely not out of the question. And, you know, I think what's important to remember is that those probabilities are based on past results, current form, all sorts of data points, but they can't predict the unpredictable moments that often decide these big matches.
Exactly. I mean, it's football.
It's football.
Anything can happen.
Absolutely.
And also, I think it's interesting to look at the different score lines.
Yeah.
So the data tells us that the most probable score line is a 2-1 Arsenal win
That's right.
at 9.58%.
Yep.
But, you know, other outcomes like a 1-0 or 2-0 Arsenal victory or even a 2-1 Man City win are all still pretty likely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of different scenarios could play out.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
It is. It is. Okay, so obviously a lot of people like to, have a little flutter
Yeah.
when these big matches come around. So let's talk about some of the betting tips. But just to be clear, this is purely for informational purposes only.
Of course. Not financial advice.
Not financial advice.
Yeah, no.
Don't blame us if you lose all your money.
Don't come knocking on our door.
Right. So, unsurprisingly, a lot of the experts are backing Arsenal to win.
Yeah. Which, again, makes sense, given everything we've discussed.
Right.
But I think the odds for both teams to score are also looking pretty attractive when you consider their attacking strengths.
Right, so both teams to score, meaning that both Arsenal and Man City will find the back of the net regardless of the final result.
Exactly. And over 2.5 goals is also a popular prediction, which, again, given the firepower on both sides, isn't a surprise.
Right.
So over 2.5 goals, meaning you're betting there will be 3 or more goals scored in total.
Right. And then, for the more adventurous out there, we've got the parlay bets.
Right. Yeah.
Now, for those who might not be familiar with a parlay bet, it's basically when you combine multiple predictions into one bet.
Yeah.
So it increases the risk,
Yeah.
but also obviously increases the potential payout if all your predictions are correct.
Yeah.
So a common one for this match is Arsenal to win and both teams to score.
Yep. High risk, high reward.
High risk, high reward.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something a bit more, I guess, conservative, maybe a parlay with Arsenal or draw combined with over 1.5 goals might be an option.
That's a good shout.
All right. So much to think about there.
Yeah.
But let's get back to the tactics for a minute.
All right.
If you were managing either of these teams, what kind of adjustments would you be thinking about making heading into this match?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
If I were Arteta, I think I might be tempted to push Zinchenko higher up the pitch to really exploit the space that Man City's attacking fullbacks often leave behind.
Okay.
It's a risky move,
It is.
but it could overload their midfield.
Yeah.
And it could create more chances for, the likes of Trossard and Martinelli.
Yeah. What about from a Man City perspective? What would you be doing if you were Pep?
Well, if Pep does decide to start Marmoush again, I think he's going to have to instruct the wingers to tuck in more centrally
Okay.
to provide support in midfield, basically to compensate for De Bruyne's absence.
Right.
Try to disrupt Arsenal's build-up play, because if they can't get control of the midfield, then they're going to struggle to create chances.
Absolutely. So much to think about.
It's going to be fascinating.
This match is more than just about the result.
It is.
It really is about how these two teams approach the game, the tactics they employ, the individual battles that take place. I mean, so many potential turning points.
Absolutely.
But you guys listening, you are now armed with all the knowledge you need to watch this match like a true tactician.
Yeah.
And before we let you go, we want to hear from you. What tactical changes would you make if you were managing either team? Head over to our social media pages. Let us know your thoughts. Let's keep this conversation going.
Yeah, get involved.
And until then, may the best team win. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See ya!